The Walt Disney World Resort in Orlando, Florida is home to some of the most iconic rides in the world, and that applies to the roller coasters as well. But just because a ride is iconic or well known does not mean it can't be improved, and in this video I'm going to be going through each and every roller coaster at the Disney World Resort and talking about how I would improve each ride. Some of these coasters could use it, others it's just nitpicking. But anyways, let's start with Disney's Hollywood Studios. Specifically, Slinky Dog Dash. Slinky Dog Dash is the perfect family coaster in my opinion. It's not intense, has some fun maneuvers and cute theming, and is overall a very smooth, enjoyable ride. On a side point, it's also one of the best looking roller coasters in the world with that red and yellow paint scheme, plus the Slinky train. But even with that, there's room for improvement here. One of the things I was a little disappointed with is that this ride offered zero airtime, so the thing I would change is reprofiling some of those hills to give a little bit of airtime. The hills that came to mind specifically was the series of hills at the end of the ride that really looks like at some point it should give airtime, but sadly does not. A little bit of reprofiling, a little bit of track work, and you could get some airtime there. This is one of those coasters though where, as I said, it's kind of a nitpick, because for a family coaster I think it does quite well in most areas. I had a hard time deciding on what needed to be improved, but at the end of the day, this is what I settled with. Obviously though, this is not the only roller coaster in the park. What about Rock 'n' Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith? This Vekoma looping coaster I think is a very fun ride. It has a pretty good launch at the beginning with 3 inversions all in the dark. And of course, the onboard audio works beautifully into the experience. So what would I change about this coaster? Honestly, not much. But putting lap bars on this train instead of over-the-shoulder restraints would be nice. It's not like putting lap bars on an inverting coaster is new or anything. I mean, look at those Gerstlauer Infinity coasters, which are much more crazy than Rock 'n' Roller Coaster. Those have lap bars and do just fine. Now, granted, the ones on Rock 'n' Roller Coaster are nowhere near as bad as the over-the-shoulder restraints on Incredicoaster because those really do need to be replaced. But still, having a lap bar on a looping coaster just makes it so much more comfortable. And the entire possibility of head or neck banding goes out the window. Now, I know this is unlikely, but it would still be cool if this happened. Alright, let's stop talking Hollywood Studios and talk about Epcot, which, oh wait, I haven't even ridden Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, but from what I've seen, adding an animatronic would be a really nice improvement to this coaster. That feels like one thing that would make that ride a lot better. The other park with only one roller coaster is Disney's Animal Kingdom. And it is a good one. Well, actually it's a mountain. Expedition Everest, Legend of the Forbidden Mountain. So, how do you improve Expedition Everest? Honestly, not much you can do. I think this is a superb ride. But, with that being said, from the 5 rides I got in 2021, it wasn't the smoothest coaster in the world. I don't think that this is a rough ride by any means, but with that being said, it still could be smoother. It's one of those rides that isn't painful, but it's just a little rattly at parts, so smoothing it out would just make this awesome roller coaster even better. Because the theming is already there, so there's really nothing else I can think of to improve this ride. Disney paid the big bucks for this attraction, and I think it worked out beautifully. Okay, let's turn our scope towards Disney's Magic Kingdom. And there are a couple things I should note here. Mainly, I have not experienced Tron Light Cycle Power Run. When this opens, I gotta imagine it will be the best roller coaster at Magic Kingdom. It's got everything in my book. Theming, thrills, unique train design even. I think it's gonna be spectacular. So I don't know how you'd improve it anyways. But there are other coasters located at Magic Kingdom, so time to hop into those. Let's get it started with the best coaster in the park, Barnstormer! Okay, just kidding. But in all seriousness, this ride could use improvement in parts. This kiddie / borderline family coaster is actually pretty good at what it is, but adding some more theming in the queue and during the ride would be a nice touch. There is a little bit, and while I think it's hard to have an immersive experience on a roller coaster like this, I think adding more theming and making it a little more immersive would make this an even better kiddie coaster. Alright, now let's talk about the best coaster in the park. Oh, no, never mind. Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is a pretty solid ride, but it's not the best coaster in the park, and there are definitely some things that could use improvement. One thing that could be improved is the length, because this coaster is way too short. But since adding track isn't really that feasible, I'll go with something else. Every time I see a POV or am actually on the ride, I just think that the brake run could be so much better. What if, instead of just cruising by that scene at the end, you actually went through it? And that would be my improvement, adding a full dark ride scene on the brake run. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but having the house around you and then seeing the witch I think is much cooler than just driving by it. It would add a level of immersion that the ride doesn't have now, and I would imagine it would make it feel a little bit longer as well. Okay, now we're finally going to talk about the best coaster in the park. Big Thunder, I don't even know if that's the best coaster in the park. But if it isn't, then it is a very good family coaster. Laterals, airtime, theming, there really isn't much I have to complain about here. But with that being said, I do think it would help this ride if it got the same refurbishment that the one at Disneyland got. The one at Disneyland was almost completely retracked and also received some new effects. And because of that, the version at Disneyland is superior, but the version at Magic Kingdom is still very fun in my opinion. So, like some of the other rides on this list, I don't have a huge problem with Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, but because it isn't the smoothest coaster in the world, having it be that smooth I think would make the experience better at the end of the day. So with that out of the way, it's now time for the best roller coaster at Magic Kingdom, which is Tron Light Cycle Power Run. Wait, what? We already talked about that. Alright, moving on. Space Mountain is the last coaster we have to talk about here. This is admittedly a fantastic indoor roller coaster, but it does have one major problem. Well, kind of two, but they go hand in hand, and that's the trains and lack of onboard audio. So my improvement to this ride would go as follows. I would simply replace the trains and add onboard audio to them, in a similar manner to the other Space Mountain at Disneyland, though I might do a different score just to make it stand out. Space Mountain is fine without the onboard audio, but the trains are hard to get into, and the onboard audio makes it feel more exciting. But that airtime in the back is still exciting no matter if there's music or not. So even in its current state, I definitely would give it a go. But if you have any other improvements you would make to these roller coasters, sound off in the comments below. And as always, thank you all for watching. See you all next time. On another note, it's amazing how long Tron Light Cycle Power Run has taken to open. I mean, come on, what's going on here, Disney? I don't know when I'll be able to ride it, but at least I want to see other people enjoying it. And because of how long they're taking, I'll try to make the delay from now until the ride opens feel shorter with this poem. Dear Disney, all we want is Tron Light Cycle Power Run, because we know it will be more than fun. Please stop not opening it. It would be better if you did, just generally speaking. We want to feel the joyful rush of muggy, humid, hot air on our faces, on a ride that isn't a mine train. Something that would really blow our brains. You can do it, probably. Just please open Tron. Sincerely, wait, it's opening in 2023? Oh man.